Who first told you to cover up? What if the truth is being bare in nature isn't shameful at all? It's healing, it reconnects you to your body and to the natural world. Welcome back to Hiking Without a Stitch. Get naked, be free, and be kind. I'll share my journey into naturism, stories from the trail, and conversations with others who have found freedom in the open air. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Hiking Without a Stitch. The first episode, I just introduced myself, kind of went over my background very briefly, and kind of how I got into naturism. Today's topic is going to be, where can you actually go naked hiking? I would like to add in that I am not a lawyer. The information shared on this episode is based on my own personal research and experiences and should not be taken as legal advice. Laws and regulations vary by location and state and can change over time. It is your responsibility to research and understand the laws in your area before engaging in any nude recreation. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into this. Nudity does not always equal illegal. First thing to know, being nude is not automatically illegal everywhere. Laws often target lewdness or sexual behavior, not simple nudity. A lot of the laws around nudity actually target just lewd behavior, and not the simple non-sexual nudity of hiking, swimming, skinny dipping. The difference is your intent. If you're on a trail just hiking, mind your own business, most of the time you're not breaking any indecent exposure laws because you're not being sexual. You're not trying to offend anyone or be provocative. This is why intentionality is huge when you're out there on the landscape. When I hike nude or skinny dip, my goal is to feel grounded, free and connected to nature, not to shock people, to seek attention or act in a sexual manner that's going to give naturism and myself kind of a bad image. If we all approach it this way, naturism stays pure. It's about connection and not performance. So, in my mind, there's 3 areas where you can and can't hike, and I'm going to kind of break those down into 3 categories of where you can be naked. Clearly legal places, like clothing optional resorts, nude beaches, naturist trails, official naturist areas like the Magic Circle in Quartzsite, Arizona. That's 450 acres of Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, which is public land, and it's 100% clothing optional and family friendly. Any of these are your safest bets if available or nearby to you. The next category is clearly illegal. Do not strip down and be naked there. Downtown areas, city parks, public spaces where laws explicitly forbid nudity. So don't just go to your nearest popular hiking trail and strip off. That's a risk I don't think you want to take because it can end very badly for you. In Arizona, for example, we have indecent exposure laws that, if prosecuted, you could get put on like a predator list, sexual offender list, and serve jail time. That's why you need to be very intentional when you go out and recreate. The third category that I have, I call it the gray zone, or tolerated areas. The best gray area outdoor spaces is BLM lands, Bureau of Land Management. These are often remote patches of land, underused and lightly regulated. BLM does expect you to recreate responsibly while out on the land, so be respectful of the land and other users. Same thing with national forest land. Usually wide open spaces that allow you to get away from the main road and from the public and kind of away and hidden and doing your own thing. These aren't official nude spaces and have no official policy about non-sexual nudity, so it kind of falls in that gray area. Often these areas are remote enough that no one cares as long as you are being respectful and thoughtful of other users. Keep in mind that from my understanding, even though there's no laws forbidding sheer nudity, if a complaint is filed or someone is offended and calls about you, it falls into local law enforcement jurisdiction, at which point public nudity laws forbidding nudity in that county and state come into play. You can be ticketed, arrested, and in some cases in Arizona, indecent exposure laws end up on a sex offender registry. even though it's non-sexual nudity and you're just out on public lands. So keep that in mind. So it's imperative that you are respectful, responsible, and thoughtful when and where you choose to go try nude recreation. To find these lands, I use apps like Onyx or Gaia to locate land ownership boundaries, use it as my GPS. I use it for trail planning and download offline maps. I can also make notes and set waypoints and track where I am. The other tool for digital scouting that I use is Google Earth. It's a great tool to go on and say, oh wow, look at these set of canyons. Where's the best route? Sometimes I can see like game trails on Google Earth and I will mark that and go check it out, see if it's something I can hike. When picking a trail, I like to look for canyons, side washes, animal paths, and routes that kind of lead away from the main road and any vehicle access. For time, I prefer to go early in the morning, usually in the midweek or off season for more privacy. It leaves a less of a chance of me running into other people. Something to note about public lands, you will see a spike in users around opening of hunting seasons like deer, bear, dove, or quail, any of the bird hunting. Lots of people will be out on the landscape where you normally wouldn't see anyone. In hotter states like Arizona, night hikes are a great private option. Under the moon, under the blanket of the stars, the darkness kind of hides you. It's a little more private. That's always a great option as well. I like to practice leave no trace. Pack out your trash. Also go the extra mile and pick up any garbage you see. Leave the place cleaner than you found it. That's one way that we can show that we really care about this land. We want to be good stewards of the land and show we as a user base are responsible, respectful, and care about the lands that we use. Now, let's talk about something really important. Being naked is not sexual. Society has trained us to link nudity with sex because most of the time that's the only context we see it in. From pornography to Hollywood to the magazines with airbrushed models. That's not real. So it's no surprise that most people view other bodies and body parts in a sexual way. But naturism and nude recreation in a non-sexual way flips that on its head. If we want naturism and nude recreation to grow, we have to represent it well. I always carry a cover like a sarong or a towel. It's respectful for a quick cover-up. If I do have to put it on because of clothed hikers, I can just put it on and I still kind of have that feeling of freedom because I'm naked underneath and it lets all the air breathe. So that's a really good option in my opinion. Also, be aware of who's around you. Listen for voices, footsteps, any indication that others are approaching you. And if you run into someone, smile. Be kind, wave. Your energy really matters. If you act scared or guilty, that energy transfers over. But if you're calm, respectful, most people respond better, even if they're surprised in the beginning. Some people will be curious, some will be uncomfortable, and some even will be angry. That's okay. You're really only responsible for yourself. So, handle those moments in grace. Use it as a time to educate. Tell them about naturism. Tell them about why you're doing it. I usually bring up the health benefits and explain that I'm not out here to, upset anyone or offend anyone. That's not why I'm here. I'm really here for my own health reasons and to be more connected in nature. I get a lot of questions on Reddit, sometimes on Instagram, asking about my process of finding areas to hike in. So I'm just going to go over my process a bit for finding places to hike nude because this is something that always gets asked. First off, I use an app called Onyx, which is basically a mapping tool for your phone. It helps me locate areas of BLM land and National Forest land, and those are usually great starting points because they tend to have more open areas to hike and less crowded spaces. Once I find a spot that looks promising, I don't just show up there and start hiking naked. I'll usually go on a clothed hike first, walk up a wash. I look for canyons with little side slot canyons that lead away from the roads. And I'll just walk it, make sure there's no cameras, make sure that it doesn't look like a lot of people use that area. And once I've kind of sussed out if that's going to be a good option, I'll then go back and hike it naked. I try and wait till I'm at least out of sight of the road, out of sight of the cars. These canyons, that's really easy because they weave back and forth. So just short ways from the car, making sure there's no people up ahead, and you're usually good to go. I'm always prepared though. I carry a sarong for quick cover-ups, and I bring my binocular pack, which usually has my pistol mounted on it. Here in Arizona, we have a high number of mountain lion and other game species that could be problematic if you got attacked. So for me personally, I carry a 9mm pistol for self-defense. I know some people aren't comfortable with that, but it provides me a level of safe feeling that I know I can protect myself if needed if I got attacked by a human or an animal. I just feel safer with that pistol. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can always carry bear spray, mace, pepper spray. And I know that Sportsman's Warehouse was doing a promotional deal on this new sort of non-lethal pistol that shoots like paintballs, rubber paintballs with, I think, pepper spray inside the paintballs. It looked pretty cool. I watched a demo there. So if you're not comfortable with a weapon or a firearm and don't want to go try that out, you can definitely check out some other non-lethal weapons or choices. I guess I should also give you a sense of scale. When I say I go on a hike, for me that typically means about 2 to 3 miles one way and then back out. On bigger days, I've done hikes up to 12 miles, but I'm not really naked the entire time on those hikes. It's usually just in certain sections or at destinations like a lake, river, or beach. In some of these wilderness areas, you can hike all day and never see another person. So around here, the hiking really is what you want it to be. You can make it whatever. So remember, your hike is extremely personal and doesn't have to look like any other person's adventure. It's purely yours and yours alone. So you get to choose what elements you want to experience on your hike. So to wrap this up, this conversation's more than just where can you be naked and more than laws and locations. It's about your responsibility. If we don't take care of these spaces and if we don't act with integrity, we will lose access. And I've seen this happen before. Growing up, when I was younger, there was this open piece of land that was public land that we used to go as a family and target shoot. There was no rules, there was no signs, just a unspoken understanding: be safe, clean up your trash, and be respectful. And over time, people started abusing that. They started leaving their garbage. They started shooting up stuff and just leaving it there on the side of the road. And eventually, it got shut down. No trespassing signs went up. No shooting signs went up. And it was closed to the public. And I've seen that play out over and over and over again, whether that's hunting access or off-road vehicle areas or fishing access. I feel naturism faces the same sort of risk. If we don't protect the places where nudity is tolerated, and if we don't educate the public and behave in a responsible manner, these opportunities will start to disappear. So please, when you go out, know the laws, know the regulations in your area, pick the right path, be respectful of the land and the other users on it, and be an example for what naturism really is: non-sexual, natural, and respectful nudity. Because we don't need to defend naturism, we need to define it. And we do that by living it out, by being good stewards of the land, and by being respectful while out in nature. If this episode resonated with you, share it. Talk about it with your hiking buddies. Or send it to someone you think would appreciate it. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried naked hiking? Or maybe you have a tip on finding great trails. Send me a message on Instagram or email me. Links will be in the show notes. Next time, we'll be talking to my wife about how to bring your partner into naturism and kind of her experience of me telling her that I was into this lifestyle. So, it's going to be a big one. I'm really excited. As always, get naked, be free, and be kind.